The 69-year-old nation called Indonesia experienced a lot of tragic events. It revolves between 1948 till 1967. This documentary explains those tragic events with classified information about the CIA regime in Indonesia and how it impacted the present day. However, in order to learn secrets, we must also learn the foundation of the past, and it starts with the Second World War. It all started in the year 1939, where the Second World War officially started. It was a devastating war between the Allies and the Axis, which primarily consists of Germany under Adolf Hitler, Japan under Hirohito, and finally the Italians under Mussolini. The Allies, or so they are called to be, contains all Western European nations, the Soviets, its colonies, and later joined by the United States of America. When this Western power of Europe was under pressure against Nazi Germany, they asked the US to join the war, but they stayed neutral until the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The US charged and pushed back all Axis powers in 3 continents. In Asia, the Americans are giving support to European colonial powers such as Britain to fight off their common enemy, the Japanese. In Europe, Adolf Hitler was forced to fight a 2-frontal war, and that is by the Soviet from the east and the Western European powers and Americans from the west. And finally, in Africa, they had to fight against the Italian forces of Mussolini, helped by the British power. In Europe, they had given support to many European countries, including the Soviets, even though they have disagreed on their theory of Marxism. In the year 1945, nobody ever thought that the Americans would create a revolutionary weapon, a weapon that would devastate the whole world, especially the Axis. This revolutionary weapon was known to be the atomic bomb. It had killed thousands of Japanese citizens. However, this bomb has helped the whole world to end the Second World War. This is the era where people have finally believed that the war was over and they could finally have peace. But in reality, no matter how we form alliances, no matter how many treaties we agree with other countries, there will always be war after war, battles after battles. This time, history has to experience a war that would kill millions of people for the sake of ideology. And this is the era where we might call it the Atomic Age, also known as the Cold War.
Saat itu dunia itu terpecah menjadi 2 blok sosialis dipimpin oleh Uni Soviet dan kawan-kawan. Kemudian ada blok barat atau kapitalis dipimpin oleh Amerika dan para sekutunya. Meskipun mereka tidak pernah berperang langsung, ada konflik-konflik lain di dunia ini yang sebenarnya disponsor oleh mereka. Jadi konflik 2 raksasa ini tetapi tidak langsung, melalui perwakilan. Ya, itu disebut sebagai proxy wars.
Good evening. 8 weeks ago, when we all knew that at least part of Indochina was headed down the communist drain, a report on the problem we in the United States must face if we're to hold on to what is left in Southeast Asia.
In Korea, the North that are supported by the Soviets are fighting the American-supported South. In Europe, the Soviets have decided to make the border between the western part, which are ruled by democratic policies, and the eastern, which are ruled by them. In South America, the United States decided to act with a secret agency called the CIA. The CIA are executing covert missions to destroy the Latin American pro-communist countries, such as Cuba. The Americans believe that in order for people to live in peace, communism must be destroyed.
The Soviet Union and its agents have destroyed the independence and democratic character of a whole series of nations in Eastern and Central Europe.
That is why the Americans would do anything to get rid of the communist regime and the communist influence, even by killing a lot of people and sending their agency called the CIA.
CIA tentu itu badan intelijen Amerika. Itu badan intelijen resmi, Central Intelligence Agency. Itu kan semuanya badan intelijen yang bekerja untuk kepentingan negaranya masing-masing, menginteli, melakukan spionase terhadap negara-negara lain, bukan hanya Indonesia, negara di mana saja. Ya, itu jadi tujuannya adalah menegakkan supremasi Amerika kalau CIA itu, supaya Amerika segera tahu siapa jadi musuh, berapa kekuatannya, apa yang harus dilakukan agar negara itu tidak menjadi besar dan seterusnya.
The future chief of the CIA, named Frank Wisner, warned President Truman that the US is the only major nation that does not have any secret intelligence service abroad. Therefore, they realized that they needed an intelligence service group that would inform the President of the United States of what is happening and to give early warnings of any surprise attacks against them. The CIA is supposedly to be the secret intelligence service outside the US, but it never became one because they lacked deception and secrecy. In the 1950s, thousands of professionals were recruited to the CIA, but they barely knew what was coming at them, who the enemy was, and where they were located. Therefore, they made a lot of assumptions which would lead to the deaths of many. As tensions began to rise between the Russians and Americans, the Americans realized that the Soviets are moving their military more and more to the western section of Europe. The CIA realized that they had to do something about this, so they recruited politicians and police to at least slow them down. But they do not know what they are dealing with. So within a few months, the Russians have advanced and have taken over many parts of Eastern Europe and established the communist system. From this stage, the CIA had created even more problems. They had recruited thousands of Eastern Europeans, such as Polish, Ukrainians, Czechoslovakians, and many more. Citizens, police, secret police, agents, politicians, partisans, and all sorts of people. They made everyone into their special agent. Then, they gave them weapons, money, and radios. And then forcing them to establish a spy network behind the Iron Curtain so that they may counterattack the Soviets. Without knowing the enemy, the police secret service was under the Soviets, which resulted with thousands dead. In early 1950s, Frank Wisner bought the island of Saipan to be the CIA headquarters in Asia. The target was simple: fight against communism and promote democracy and capitalism. The Chinese and the North Koreans were supported by communists. They believe in communist ideals. So, the CIA had no choice. They sent 1,500 Korean agents and dropped them into the northern part of Korea. And apparently, they never came back. The same with China. They used the mainland tribal leaders, Muslim rebels, and anti-communists. They sent them weapons, ammunitions, and radios. But they were all killed. Not satisfied with the Chinese's efforts and skills, they dropped 212 foreign agents from around the world. 101 was killed, and the rest 111 was captured by Mao's professional military and intelligence. The CIA's covert missions were large blind stabs in the dark. However, there was one region, one nation they were successful at, and that nation is called Indonesia. Indonesia. It is the largest archipelago the world has ever seen, consisting thousands of islands with different resources. From the beginning of time, this nation was blessed with a geographical location. It is located between two tropical areas, which enables almost anything to grow. This is the nation that Europe had dreamed about. For decades, Europeans fought amongst themselves to attain those islands. And at last, there is only one standing nation, and it is the Netherlands. And they had ruled this nation for over 300 years. The tide turns in the Second World War. The Japanese occupied these islands and gave power to the nationalist leaders such as Sukarno and Hatta. Within 2 years, the Japanese helped the Indonesians to prepare their independence. In 1945, the Japanese finally surrenders to the Allies, and Sukarno knew that it was time to declare independence, so that there will be no more imperialism in this new nation. However, the Dutch would not let its greatest colonial power to be taken, so they attacked back, and it devastated the people for 4 years. This was also supported by the Americans, because they know that communism would grow easily in a new formed country. One of them would be Indonesia. They appointed the Dutch so that communism would not grow in Indonesia. In addition to that, the Americans do not want the Indonesians to grab all the resources, for they have American oil companies there. In the midst of war between the Dutch and the Indonesians, a political group called the PKI saw this as an opportunity to rebel and spread the ideas of the communism. The PKI is an abbreviation towards the word Partai Komunis Indonesia, which means the Communist Party of Indonesia.
Jadi PKI waktu itu dipimpin oleh Musso namanya, ya, dan Alimin itu membentuk Republik Soviet Indonesia. Ya, di Madiun dia memberontak terhadap pemerintahan Soekarno-Hatta. Nah, karena itu pemerintah Soekarno-Hatta mengeluarkan ancaman terhadap Musso, bilang sama rakyat Indonesia, pilih Soekarno-Hatta atau pilih Musso. Lalu pemerintah Indonesia itu tahun 48 ya, mengirimkan pasukan Siliwangi ke Madiun untuk menumpas pemberontakan PKI itu.
Sukarno was desperate to make his dream of unification to be true. So, he demanded all of the islands to be united, including Papua, still ruled by the Netherlands and Australians.
Satu masyarakat yang benar-benar membuat bangsa Indonesia ini satu bangsa yang terdiri daripada ratusan juta insan al-kamil yang hidup dengan bahagia di bawah kolong langit buatan Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Ini tujuan kita, ini maksud kita, ini tekad kita dengan mengadakan negara ini yang kita proklamir.
Without a strong foundation and a proper education and enough professionals, the Indonesian economy collapsed. The newly formed nation only relies on imports, exports, and taxes. And this made the communism ideals to win amongst the people.
Kata pada saat itu, negara dikendalikan dengan slogan-slogan anti-imperialis Amerika dan Inggris, tetapi kenyataan rakyat hidup sangat susah. Nah, di dalam keadaan yang sulit begini, biasanya paham komunis itu bisa menyebar dengan gampang. Karena komunis menjanjikan orang-orang itu yang miskin akan dijadikan kaya dan orang kaya akan dijadikan miskin dibagi sama rata. Sehingga rakyat yang memang sudah miskin dan susah itu mudah sekali dipengaruhi kemudian mendukung gerakan komunis di Indonesia.
In 1955, Sukarno held an election for all political parties. This was his strategy, so the economy and politics would be balanced. The CIA saw this as a great opportunity to bring down Sukarno's National Party and the Communists through their rival group, the Muslims and the Socialists. Therefore, the CIA pumped $1 million to the largest Muslim party called the Masyumi and the Socialist Party. They hoped that these parties would bribe the civilians to resist communism and nationalistic influence. However, the fact of the election is that National Indonesian Party placed first, the Masyumi placed second, and the PKI placed fourth. This made the CIA really anxious and realized that something less political must happen in order to save Indonesia from communism and from the influence of Sukarno. In 1958, the CIA decided to pick on a more serious aspect to overthrow Sukarno. They created a small rebellion in Sulawesi, which is called Permesta, and in Sumatra, which is called PRRI. These two rebellions threatened Sukarno's government that they will take over the two islands and separate it from the Republic of Indonesia. And so the CIA started equipping them through radios, weapons, and ammunition so that they could use the threat of separation to their advantage. Quickly, Sukarno's government sent a professional army called the TNI and defeated them easily, took all their weapons that was sent by the CIA. Then, the CIA quickly realized that these rebels were weak and untrained, so they used their own men instead. After the failed rebellion, the CIA started their own covert missions. They used agents and mercenaries from around the globe to start bombing and shooting down everyone that they saw, assuming that they were all communists. In May 18, a CIA pilot flew over the city of Ambon, sinking ships, bombing markets and houses. As he created more destruction, the Indonesian Navy shot him down, and he was arrested, held as a war criminal in Indonesia. He flew approximately 12 missions and killed averagely 50 people. This affected Sukarno's relationship with the US. And his name was Alan Pope.
Jadi dalam CIA, kayaknya dia hanya orang bayaran saja. Dia mau jadi pilot itu karena bayarannya, tapi sepertinya dia tidak mendukung CIA sepenuhnya. Kalau mendukung dia disterilisasi ya sudah, ya kan? Saya rela mati dengan bagi tujuan CIA. Nyatanya dia ambil lagi itu kartu identitas dia itu, yang supaya nanti kalau dia ketangkep, dia berhak mengklaim pemerintah Amerika untuk dibebaskan karena saya warga negara.
On January 1961, the United States of America welcomes its 35th president, JFK, also known as John F. Kennedy. This man saw Indonesia not as a weak nation that could be easily influenced by communist ideals, but as a country that has been bullied by the past US presidential administration and the CIA. He believes that it would be much more effective if the US prevents countries from becoming communist than directly confronting them as the CIA did in Indonesia. Thus, he tried a strategy that the CIA would hate to see, and that is accepting Sukarno as an ally by helping him to achieve his dream of unified Indonesia in the West Papua conflict against the Australians and the Dutch. With JFK's decision to support Indonesia, Sukarno began to have better relations with the US once more. On the other hand, US's free world allies were starting to dislike Kennedy, sending millions of dollars, sending professional economists to help improve Indonesia's economy, and giving full support towards the West Papua conflict.
Kennedy akan dan sudah mengirim tim ekonomi untuk mengadakan penelitian di Indonesia, ya, untuk membantu ekonomi Indonesia. Ya maksudnya tidak bagus-bagus amat. Maksudnya itu supaya nanti kalau Indonesia ekonominya baik, PKI kehilangan pengikut gitu. Itu sebenarnya.
In 1962, the British agency, after having a discussion with the CIA, proposed a plan to the British government. That is, to form a federation in the Malay areas by unifying all British colonial regions, including northern part of Borneo. Hearing this, Sukarno did not want the newly formed federation to take the northern part of the island Kalimantan. In addition, he remembers that Malaya, Singapore, and a British colony in northern Borneo used as a base for the British intelligence and the CIA during the rebellions at Permesta and PRRI.
Sudah selesai dengan Irian Barat, ternyata Inggris mau membentuk Malaysia. Tadi dulunya itu bukan Malaysia namanya, dulu itu ya Malaya, termasuk di dalamnya adalah Singapura, ya kan? Tapi kemudian Inggris mengatakan bentuknya diubah lagi menjadi negara baru namanya Malaysia. Nah, Sukarno curiga ini bentukan Inggris ini, Malaysia ini mau mengepung Indonesia. Makanya dia lawan lagi, itu konfrontasi Malaysia namanya, itu ganyang Malaysia dan sebagainya. Nah, itulah Sukarno kemudian mengirim tentara ke Kalimantan dan sebagainya untuk melawan tentara Inggris di Kalimantan Utara itu.
Jadi Malaysia menyerbu wilayah Republik Indonesia, sukarelawan akan menyerbu wilayah Kalimantan Utara. Ada 10 terjadu Malaysia masuk Republik Indonesia, 100 sukarelawan masuk Kalimantan Utara.
Thus, he asked the US for support to abolish the Federation. But before Kennedy could meet him and plan things out in Indonesia, he was assassinated on November the 22nd, 1963. That day, Sukarno had lost a great ally, which led him to be weak. Now, without any opposition, the CIA can finally act and bring Sukarno and the PKI down with their last operation in Indonesia. Within a few years, the Communist Party of Indonesia was the largest communist organization outside of Russia and China. Sukarno, the leader of the Republic of Indonesia, was heavily supported and welcomed by them. The CIA knew that if the Republic of Indonesia fell to the hands of communism, it would be impossible for companies such as Freeport to obtain the resources in the country.
Ya, ada minyak, ada karet, ada emas, macam-macam itu. Tetapi juga ini kan strategis posisinya ya, antara Asia dan Australia. Kan Australia juga takut kalau Indonesia menjadi komunis, nanti terancam Australia. Ya, itu dan jadi ada alasan ekonomis, ada alasan politis, tapi juga alasan geografis strategis.
Therefore, they had to find a less obvious strategy to penetrate the PKI and Sukarno's government. After all, Sukarno knew that the rebellions in Sumatra and Sulawesi was planned by them. Thus, their only option was to hire a more reliable and a high-ranked agent, which would be Adam Malik. Malik was an ambassador of Indonesia in Moscow.
Adam Malik sebagai Menteri Luar Negeri pada waktu itu juga adalah seorang yang sangat anti-komunis, ya kan? Karena itu setiap orang yang anti-komunis pasti disukai oleh Amerika, pasti dianggap sebagai kawan oleh Amerika.
The reason that the CIA chose him and recruited him was because he had a very good connection with the army, primarily General Suharto, and he was very knowledgeable of what is present in Sukarno's government. The CIA agent McAvoy stated that I recruited and ran Adam Malik. He was the highest ranking officer we have ever recruited. After several secret meetings with both the American ambassador and General Suharto, the CIA agreed that the army was a reliable ally. So they gave them weapons, medical supplies, and walkie-talkies for the last Trump operation against Sukarno and the Communist Party of Indonesia. Thanks to Adam Malik's effort to connect the CIA, the ambassador, and the army, they paid him 50 million rupiahs for sending 67 names of PKI leaders to General Suharto. The CIA knew that Suharto would fulfill his duty. The list containing 67 names led to the deaths of at least 500,000 Indonesians. Ever since Kennedy was assassinated, the CIA and the Pentagon assigned the US trained general named Suharto to make training programs for staff and command in the Indonesian army. This training program was funded by the US company, such as Ford, and of course the CIA and the US administration. This program does not only teach about military tactics, but it also teaches the importance of propaganda, economics, and administration for the upcoming coup in 1965. This school trained various groups such as the army, trade unions, peasants' organization, political parties, and youth groups, so that these people from various backgrounds can unify with one aim. It is destroying the PKI. This time, the CIA will not fight directly as they had done in 1958. Instead, they rely more on propaganda, rumors, and their allies. Before the September the 30th, 1965 movement, also known as the Gestapo, the CIA made a document that was reported in a Malaysian newspaper, stating that the Chinese were sending massive amount of weapons that would lead to the destruction of the army. This made the army very anxious. So they prepared everything they can to counter this destruction. Few days before the movement, Sukarno's personal bodyguards, which are called the Cakrawirawa, eliminated 6 high-ranking generals and 1 lieutenant in order to protect Sukarno and Indonesia from the CIA. Instead, it backfired, leading to a new order, a new dictator, and the massacre of at least 500,000 people.
Sebagai pembalasan dari Angkatan Darat pada waktu itu, ya kan, untuk ya menghabiskan semua sisa-sisa kekuatan komunisme, karena Anda tahu bahwa waktu peristiwa 65 itu 7 orang jenderal ya dibunuh di lubang buaya, ya kan.
Nah, mengenai gerakan 30 September PKI ini ada beberapa versi. Ada versi yang mengatakan Cakrawirawa itu menangkap jenderal-jenderal karena jenderal-jenderal Angkatan Darat ini termasuk Panglima Angkatan Darat itu adalah Jenderal Ahmad Yani, kemudian boleh bilang jenderal-jenderal pejabat teras di Angkatan Darat itu dianggap mau melakukan kudeta kepada pemerintah dengan dukungan ya CIA dan sebagainya. Jadi itu satu versi. Versi yang lain dikatakan bahwa ini adalah satu tindakan oleh pasukan pengawal presiden di bawah pengaruh Partai Komunis Indonesia.
Nah, itu adalah sebuah perebutan kekuasaan oleh PKI. Karena jangan lupa di balik G30S PKI itu ada yang namanya Dewan Revolusi. Itu selalu tidak ditonjolkan karena PKI ini ingin menyembunyikan fakta bahwa mereka melakukan kudeta. Jadi pada 1 Oktober PKI itu membentuk apa yang disebut Dewan Revolusi, mengganti Presiden Soekarno dan mendemisionerkan kabinetnya Soekarno dengan orang-orang dia sendiri, merebut RRI dan seterusnya. Nah ini kudeta, itu spontanitas dia masyarakat. Mengapa saya katakan itu? Karena saya tahu tahun 65 itu saya udah umur 17 tahun dan saya sudah jadi mahasiswa di UI, masih baru masuk. Jadi saya ikut, saya tahu G30 PKI itu terjadinya bagaimana, saya tahu, mengalami sendiri. Nah sebelum tahun 65, PKI kan menjadi anak emasnya Presiden Soekarno. Oh, mereka menjadi sombong dan selalu meneror orang-orang Islam, orang-orang Kristen, pokoknya orang yang beragama dia selalu teror itu. Dikata-katain sebagai anjingnya Barat dan sebagainya. Kita selalu diteror, mereka main marching band tiap hari, selalu mengatakan orang Islam itu sarungan, habisin aja. Itu saya mengalami sendiri dan tahu. Jadi orang-orang Islam, termasuk Kristen, Katolik dan sebagainya, Hindu, Buddha itu yang beragama, pokoknya itu marah, cuma nggak berani karena dilindungi oleh Presiden Soekarno. Jadi ketika mereka terbukti melakukan pembunuhan terhadap jenderal itu dan Pak Harto kemudian menjadi pemimpin untuk melawan PKI itu, nah, orang-orang di daerah-daerah itu timbul keberaniannya dan mereka yang melakukan pembunuhan itu. Tetangganya ini kamu kan sombong sekali, wah dihabisin. Tapi sebelum itu kamu jangan lupa, sebelum 65 PKI sendiri yang memulai pembunuhan terhadap terutama kiai-kiai di pedesaan-pedesaan di Jawa. Kalau kamu pergi ke pedesaan di Jawa itu banyak itu desa-desa yang mempunyai prasasti peringatan terhadap gugurnya kiai ini dan beberapa santrinya yang dibunuh oleh PKI. Ada itu, cuma itu sekarang tidak diungkap. Kenapa? Karena media massa sekarang itu banyak menyembunyikan fakta-fakta.
Yang pertama perlu ditanyakan benar atau tidak itu apakah benar kalau dikatakan bahwa G30S itu PKI, ya. Mengapa ini perlu ditanyakan? Karena resminya yang namanya G30S atau Gerakan 30 September itu pemimpinnya ada 3. Namanya satu adalah Letnan Kolonel Untung, kemudian Kolonel Abdul Latif, dan Brigadir Jenderal Suparjo. Kalau orang di depan namanya ada embel-embelnya Letnan Kolonel, Kolonel, dan Brigadir Jenderal, artinya apa? Artinya mereka bukan sipil kan, mereka militer, ya kan? Dan 3-3-nya kan angkatan darat, dan angkatan darat kan musuh besarnya PKI waktu itu. Jadi kalau mengatakan bahwa G30S ini dipimpin oleh PKI harus dipertanyakan dulu. Kan pimpin resminya 3-3-nya perwira angkatan darat kan. Ya kan, itu kan harus ditanyakan dulu. Jadi benar atau tidaknya ditanyakan dulu apakah benar bahwa ini. Nah, seandainya misalnya ada orang-orang PKI yang di situ, ya mungkin betul juga ya, siapa gitulah. Gitu. Tetapi kan yang menginisiatif G30S itu kan bukan PKI, ya, hanya kemudian ditambahkan diberi garis miring PKI itu. Tetapi gerakan 30 September secara konseptual nggak ada kaitannya dengan PKI, pemimpinnya aja tidak ada sipilnya kok, iya kan? Nah ini sudah politis kalau ditambah ini. Seharusnya ya G30S, 330S 65, gerakan 30 September tahun 65, ya kan? Apalagi nanti kalau sudah diubah menjadi Gestapo, ya Gestapo kan, orang menyebut G30S itu Gestapo juga. Kamu cari literatur di internet atau di buku Gestapo. Nah, Gestapo itu kan gerakan September 30. Di Indonesia nggak ada orang menyebut bulan dulu baru tanggal kan. Itu di Amerika, ya. July 4th atau August 5th ya, August 6th ya, itu kan hanya di Amerika. Di sini kan 6th of August ya, atau 4th of July ya. Jadi kenapa dibuat Gestapo? Ya supaya ini mengingatkan orang pada tentara rahasia Nazi namanya Gestapo. Jadi ini upaya untuk mendiskreditkan PKI, sehingga dibuat Gestapo itu. Meskipun September 30 itu bukan namanya 30 September. Ya, tahu. Nah, mungkin di sini masuk CIA ini, permainan CIA ini untuk mendiskreditkan PKI. Ya, sudah salah. Dan singkatannya dibuat mirip seperti singkatan zaman Hitler, Nazi.
This is a monument created by General Suharto and the army to commemorate 6 generals and 1 lieutenant's death that was caused by the PKI. This is also used as propaganda by General Suharto to say that the PKI is extremely cruel, killing these innocent men. But we all know that the main enemy is the CIA. It was not the PKI. The CIA convinced Suharto and supported Suharto in the massacres of 500,000 people in 1965 to 1966. This is what happens if we do not understand history. History will repeat itself because we lack of truth and nationalism that would lead to this propaganda.